Alice here with Lisa Strange.
The Agriculture and the Natural Resource Extension Agent at Taylor County Extension Office and the Master Gardener Coordinator.
And that's how Lisa and I met. I'm one of her master gardeners.
Propagation. Sexual, using seeds. Asexual, division, air layering, tissue culture, it's more vegetative. And it's like cloning, actually, which is true to the parent plant, which is how a lot of these orchids, some of my favorite plants, can be divided. And don't be afraid of dividing an orchid, just cutting off part of the root. That's a division.
Lisa, you mentioned orchids and asexual propagation. What is this green plant that I see hanging next to you?
This is a Encyclia tampiana or tampensis, and it is mostly found around the Tampa area. It grows high up in the oak trees, which a lot of people, they don't even realize that these are up there. They tend to acclimate to that type of climate in that area. Thus this name, tampensis. But this is a beautiful yellow, cream color yellow bloom that will come out. Actually, there's one here starting. It's a stem with a bloom. This orchid can be divided. These bulblets hold the moisture for the orchid. This is about 12, maybe 14 years old. I have divided that several times. This is a second plant that came off of it that has been divided.
Now, how would you divide this? Do you just take it out of the pot and
Yes, all of
slice
this
it?
will come out and I will lay it on, and you just take a knife and don't be afraid. People think orchids are delicate. Really, they're not. Just take a knife, divide it, put sphagnum or special orchid potting bark around it and hold it down with wire or a little string in your container.
Now, would
It
you
will
divide between each of these bulbs?
No, that's too small. Out of this one, I will make 3. The cut where my hands are, that's where I would make the cut. You can see there's about 4 to 5, 6 bulbs on the left side. There's about 6, 7, 8 bulbs in the middle. And on the outside, there might be 5, 6 bulbs.
So out of this, you would have 3 plants.
Yes.
And how long would the plants take to get to about this size?
4 years, maybe 3 years, depending on how much fertilizer you apply and your care of it.
Now, I see you have them hanging out here.
I've had them in the greenhouse all winter, and now here it is March. I'm taking them out. They can tolerate some cool temperatures. When the foliage comes out, I'll move these out front because they'll be under the shade, and that's where their natural habitat is, in a tree, in filtered shade.
If I had one of these plants, would I hang it from one of the limbs of the oak tree?
Take your cutting and wrap it with pantyhose or something, but put it in the crotch of a limb because that's their natural. This is just a mimic of a limb. It's wood where the roots have adhered and they are growing onto it. If you were going to put one in a tree, you need to make sure you're in a zone where it can stay there all year long.
And what zone would that be?
9, 10, or 11.
That's more like South Florida.
Yes. These come from Tampa area.
How did you get this plant?
I'm sure I purchased it because there is a law. You are not to take, there are some tillandsias, air plants, and orchids that is under law protected to not take from the wild. It was in Manatee that I purchased this.
Manatee County?
Yes.
And where's that?
It's below Hillsboro.
So a little bit south of Tampa area?
Yes.
You said there was a bloom that was going to be coming out on this plant. Where would that be?
Right here. It's a green stem that it will elongate to probably 2 feet long.
Where do the flowers come? At the very tip of it?
No, they're all along the stem. There are different nodes along the stem. Each flower will
have a different node.
Yes. So there'll be many flowers on one stem.
Will it have more than one stem?
Oh, yes. They will come from all over.
There's one.
Yep, there's one. Good eye. And as they die back, you can see this brown underneath. I will cut them back.
And that's the stem
that was the bloom. Hopefully in a few more weeks, you come back.
When it's in full bloom.
Oh, they're gorgeous. Now this one, I just noticed, I'm looking down from above. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 stems coming out. 5.
And you can see that at the tips.
That's its growing tip.
It's
The apical
growing.
meristem. Remember that in class?
No.
No.
Now, I noticed there's another plant out here that is unusual. Is this a succulent?
This is another one of my second favorite, I would say. This is a jewel orchid, or the genus is Ludisia, Ludsia. This is one of the very few orchids. It's a terrestrial, meaning it grows in the soil, and it likes to be on the dry side. So you can kill one really easy if you keep it too wet. It would be clustered and full of the foliage and the blooms, but these were hit from the storm. Every leaf cluster has beautiful white cream color bloom. It would be full, and they're somewhat fragrant, but it's just a very unique color. The fact that it's a terrestrial orchid, more people feel comfortable with it. And I don't think it requires the humidity like a typical orchid with the aerial roots out.
When you say it prefers dry, how frequently do you water?
Once every 3-4 weeks, maybe. It just depends on the drainage of the pot. I transplanted. This was just a cutting, a little stem. I broke off a piece and stuck it in. And this, after 8 months, filled in that well. They root very easy. This is asexual. This would be division. One of these were loose. You can have this and you can stick it either in water or put it in soil, a light soil. I would let it sit out for maybe about 3-4 days to let this dry and callus over. But this obviously has been broken off for a while because I see how dry it is. I would put this in soil now.
Do I need a certain kind of potting soil for this? Because I know when I was working with succulents, they had succulent cacti soil that had the right texture, it had the perlite and some other things in it to help it drain properly.
This needs a well-drained soil, something very light, not a heavy. A potting mixture, just a bag of potting soil would be sufficient.
Now, this is an orchid, but it sounds very similar in terms of the propagation and maintenance as a succulent, because a lot of succulents you only water infrequently. They have these stems that help store water.
Yes, absolutely.
But this doesn't have the thick leaves, but it does have the,
yes.
And it's the same thing about the propagation, where if you break something off, you let it sit out for a few days
to callus over.
And then you just plant it and they're easy to propagate.
I would say that, yes, treat it as a succulent.
But it's an orchid.
It is an orchid, a jewel orchid.
Very expensive.
Yes.
So if I were to go to a nursery or online, what would I expect to pay for one of these?
I don't know the going rate, as I'm always dividing, but I do have a master gardener that was at a show in Jacksonville just a couple weeks ago, and he sent me a photo of one in a 4-inch pot, and it maybe had 3 leaves, 3 sections on it, and it was marked $98.
Oh my, this is where propagation pays.
Propagation pays, yes.
Does this need full sun?
No. This definitely has to be in shade, filtered light. It can go under a tree as long as, it has the foliage. As you see, I'm under a roof.
And then in the wintertime here, like in zone 9A, 8B.
I have kept it in the greenhouse.
So bring it inside if you have a bright window.
Or a garage, put it in front of the window. It is a tropical plant, so you have to treat it as a succulent. As far as the watering maintenance and then the lighting as a tropical, it needs shade. It can't be in full sun. That's a good rule of thumb. Anything with a larger leaf, tropical, is more a shade. Smaller leaves, you would find more that can take full sun.
Now, there's one other beautiful plant here that I've been admiring. This is quite a spectacular show.
I have carried this around probably 20 years now and making little divisions of pieces that you can see right there. I'm going to cut that piece where my thumb is. I will cut that off and put it in another one of these orchid baskets with a few little pieces of bark and tie it down, and it will start. This is a Dendrobium periardi. It's one of the very few deciduous orchids, meaning it loses its leaves, and when it does bloom, like right now, this is its peak week. The blooms come out before the leaves. As the flower, the bloom starts to turn yellow and turn brown. The leaves will start coming onto the stems. It's a showcase in itself.
And that's an amazing amount of roots.
And it is very fragrant first thing in the morning.
And these roots, you just leave it like this?
This is it. An orchid is an air plant. It gets its nutrients, moisture, everything it needs from the atmosphere. So I do take extra care. I miss this frequently, almost daily, like being hanging in here today, very windy. It's already dried out. So I will either dunk it in a big tub for about 10 minutes or I will just soak it with water. And I try and always with the orchids, use rainwater if you can. I can tell a difference in using tap water versus rainwater in their bloom and their
So this
overall
is
health.
where having a rain barrel, if you have the ability to capture things off the roof of your house or a shed. If you're in an apartment, it may be a little more difficult, but if you have a balcony, you could put just a bucket out and collect the water when it rains. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you've not subscribed, please subscribe. Garden love. Thanks for watching. See you soon.